Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming to today's episode or today's segment of Obliterate the Top 5 Obstacles Preventing Agents from Growing Their Business. This is, in fact, the fourth segment of our five-part webinar series. And we're going to go through a few things today, but today's talk and discussion and the mindset shift is the things that are easy to do are easy not to do. I want to just, a few housekeeping things, if you will. The long-awaited and favorite question and polling question. So please have your phones ready so that you can, in fact, chime in with the result and the answer to the question as we go. I'd like to begin today also with a little recap of what we've done over the past 3 weeks for those of you who are listening in live today and those of you who will be listening in later throughout the week. I want to thank everybody for the participation and the feedback that we've gotten across the board on these shifts. A lot of the things we're hearing is, yep, that's me. I'm going through those same things. And the idea here is, if you've noticed or not, I do not tell you what to do or how to run your telecom business. What I'm really doing is connecting the dots of what's preventing you from actually taking the actions you already know to do. So let's start with a little recap for those of you who are on here, because the synergistic quality of each one of these mindsets matters. And so does the syntax slightly. The week 1 was the worst number in business. And the dialogue that we had there is, are you the artist, the individual contributor in your business, the ultimate sales machine, or are you the entrepreneur, and are you the leader? Now, 9 times out of 10, maybe even 4 nines, 99.99% of the time, the feedback that I've gotten when working with partners and small business owners in any industry has always been the same. And that same is, well, I'm all 3. And although we know you've had to wear all 3 of those hats, what got you here won't get you there. And scaling a business is going to require that each one of those be a full-time job. So the mind shift there is, of course, in order to scale your business and go farther, you're going to need people that can do these other jobs. And know thyself and having the self-awareness of knowing truly where you fit in this role is going to be very important. The second one was too busy mopping up the floor to fix the hole in the roof. And what this means is exactly what it says. We know that the hole in the roof are all the things that you know you need to get to, but somehow or another you don't. And the reason that you don't is because you're spending most of your time in reaction mode and being reactive to the things that are happening in the day. Across the board, I can honestly say, whenever I'm asked or presented with a challenge that a partner or an agent has, or a client of any kind, what's really preventing them is always found not in that reactive mode. In other words, the solutions to the problems are never solved in reaction mode. They're always solved in creation mode. And having the time to put yourself in that state of mind and really think things through of what the next moves are throughout the day is really your job as the business owner. Because up until now, what we're really deciding here is, are you an owner or an operator of the business? Are you working in the business or are you working on the business? And shifting more to working on the business is the key to scaling a business. Remember, the decided difference between growing a business and scaling a business is quite large. And partners in general and small business owners usually have no problem growing the business until they're standing in the chaos that they've created. And the back offices have no processes or systems. There's no formal training for the sales team, or worse, there's no one-on-one meetings. And we know what happens with that. Now, the third webinar that we went through was, just because it's a good idea doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean you should do it. As we become more successful in our business, we get a lot more opportunities. And as we said, all of my problems began with a good idea. And really having the self regulation to avoid the pull and the draw of the things that may take your eye off the ball long term and what your long term goals are. We talked a lot about time targets and where you're spending your time. And really, the overall focus was about staying in the zone. And what is that exactly? The zone is where you know you're working on the business and you're doing the things and the actions that will help you, of course, grow your business the right way and hopefully with less of you in it, if that is in fact the goal. Letting the small things take, precedence over the big things is probably one of the biggest challenges that I see and have felt myself as a business owner, as I described in the first call, what it is that and what this growth was like for me going through it to be able to grow and scale my business where it was running without me in it. Now, again, the goal wasn't completely to be out. I love my businesses, but the goal really was to also have the option of whether I would have to be in the day to day or have the option of not being in the day to day. So today's thought process here is said simply in this quote from Jim Rohn. It pretty much says what we're talking about today and more. This is why I really picked this one. I thought it was great. Now, you can see, of course, the easy things to do are those simple things. But those simple things don't have to be the hardest things. They don't have to be the most complex things. They just have to be the things that if you do them repeatedly, will be that, as he says, the miracle of the compound effect and to create that opportunity. I mean, anybody who's a master in anything, whether it's martial arts or music or running a business, knows that it is constant affirmation of the fundamentals is the key to mastery. You don't need to do 4,000 things. As Chet Holmes says, you need to do about 12 things 4,000 times. And the Bruce Lee quote is even better because he says, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who knows one and has done them 10,000 times. So the look that we're doing today is what are those things that you need to be doing, that you want to be doing, and you know the feeling when you come home from work and you've gotten a lot done in reaction, putting out fires all day, but you really don't feel as accomplished as you want. The area that we're going to focus on really is going to be about what are those things that are easy to do and ironically easy not to do. And what I found, even as I was thinking about this concept over the last few months and what I've seen out there in the channel with some of the highest performing partners out there, is they know what to do once again, but they're just not doing it. And the irony here is that these things that they know they want to be doing, that are easy to do, that they get caught up not doing, are also the things that will ignite their business. And ironically, they really aren't easy to do. Some of them are, but what is it that's preventing them and making it so difficult for them to actually do the things that are easy to do to help them grow their business? So some of the things that really come across the bow for me are scheduling or blocking out time for creation, as spoken about in some of the earlier webinars. What does your calendar look like? It's very easy to let the calendar get and own you as opposed to you owning it. Of the people that I work with who are really making this mind shift, they are actually scheduling time for creation, scheduling time to do the things that are easy to do, to put together that training program for their people. Let's see, what are some of the other things? And I'd be welcome anybody that wants to chime in on the chat to what these things are that you've seen in your business that are easy to do. I may even open up the call today, which we haven't done, and take questions on today's concept or maybe even the ones previously if you do have any questions. I've been answering them through emails, but some of them have been so good that hearing what you have to say on today's call would be fine too. Some of the other things too that come up for me is client engagement. A lot of people are talking about attrition in their companies, regardless of industry. And we're really good at selling them and getting them in the sales funnel and closing the deal and having them sign on the line that is dotted. But the follow up that really it takes to build that relationship is not being done. So when their contracts are up, we have a tendency to lose them as clients. I'll talk a lot about what I've seen in the channel and what one person specifically has done daily, each and every day, in order to create a better engagement and building that relationship with their employees. You know, it even comes down to today. Today is Valentine's Day. So if you have a significant other in your life, I'm not going to tell you or remind you to get them flowers or take them out tonight. But we know that long term, when it comes to building relationships, hey, how about hiring a babysitter or scheduling date night? Once again, scheduling these things and crucial conversations you might need to have with an employee. I know as a business owner, we get so deep in the weeds and putting out the fires that we have trouble even engaging with our employees throughout the day. As a matter of fact, I remember the feeling of walking through the halls of my music school and actually teaching classes and bands and private lessons while I was running the business. And the challenge there was obvious. I just could not engage with my employees, with my teachers. And it was just a lack of presence overall. And when I made the shift, that when I went into my business, that I was not going to be doing the things within the business that had me working in the business, but working on the business, is when those shifts started to come. Those conversations that your employees want to have are rarely the 2-hour conversations that you think they want to have. And if you have them regularly and you're really present to those conversations and you're looking them in the eye, they're going to feel it and they're going to know that they've been heard. You know, I've also had, with working in the channel, the opportunity to be coaching and speaking to people who are on these teams, working for you, the owners, working for you, the business owner, the agent who's out there selling all day and building the business. And I would say the number one challenge they have is really feeling heard. That when they're talking to the business owner, the scattered looks, the cancellations in the last minute of these meetings and these conversations are literally prevalent across the whole industry, where every person I talk to says the same things. Again, they don't feel heard. And we'll talk in future episodes of these podcasts as we shift more to the mindset side of things and really maybe more the coaching side of things as we progress, of what those 3 levels of listening are and how you can use them in your business to increase employee engagement. You know, it's really easy to prioritize your day, your week, even your life. Then it's easy also to get caught up. Easy to get caught up in the daily minutia of things and say you'll do it later. It's like going to the gym. The idea here is, okay, I'll go to the gym after work. We know statistically that the people who usually hit the gym or prepare their meals before the proverbial shit hits the fan, that's usually where they'll get the most benefit. Let's see. A lot of it too is acknowledging an employee is another one for a job well done. It's easy to say to yourself, and I've heard the incantation from almost every business owner when they tell me something that an employee did or something that went well. Oh, they know I'm thankful. Oh, they know. They know. Well, from talking to them, I'll tell you that they don't. And it's not about more money. As a matter of fact, that's 5th on the list of why employees leave an organization or are dissatisfied. Usually at the top of the list within 1 or 2 is just they don't even know if they're doing a good job, or they don't get the accolades or acknowledgement when they do. So a lot of what we're talking about here is the actions that you take daily and the fundamentals that you need to focus on. I mean, across the board with all of these mindset shifts, but today more than any of them, those easy things like I think her name is Lisa Bodell of Kill the Company. the author of Kill the Company. I've been reading that recently, and she calls them the little bigs. The little bigs, it's the chocolate pillow or the chocolate on the pillow in a hotel room that makes the difference. I remember the saying as well, how we clean our tray tables is how we do our engine work when it comes to our customers, when it comes to running an airline. So, what does that mean exactly? It's these little bigs that make the most difference. Having the presence with your people, making sure that you're doing the things that matter most. Next, I guess I can tell you a little bit, moving right along, of what is it that we hear at TWR and what is it that I've heard throughout the channel that's preventing people from doing it. And this is where we get into the limiting belief structure of what we're talking about here. So, the first thing is I'm too busy. And we know what that means. That's really, that's one of the biggest cop outs, because if you're too busy, it's actually really a form of laziness, because you're not putting yourself in the path of doing the things that are going to scale your business. As a matter of fact, a lot of folks, myself included, have worn that as a badge of honor, that I'm just too busy doing these things, that without me, these things wouldn't get done. And these incantations continue to run and run and run. But being too busy, once again, is a form of laziness, because you're not, and I always say, what is the fear that's really behind being busy? Is it the fear of failure or of not being enough? What are the things that are really preventing people or using that as their incantation? The next one, obvious, my customer called unexpectedly. More about fires and being in the moment and not doing the setup to where you don't have to be in on that. And I get it. Once in a while, you got to roll up your sleeves and jump into the fire. But traditionally, what I've seen is that it's a much larger percentage of these fires that the business owners are jumping in. And by a proverbial show of virtual hands, I'd like to see what people are thinking. Let's see. I don't have the budget. This falls into the money. If I had enough money, of course, I'd be right there. I would hire somebody to do these things, to put together that campaign, to put together the referral process, to put into place an employee, or rather a client engagement program of sending them things. And a lot of times I also know people say things like this: well, I already do that. Yeah, I'm already doing this. So I say, okay, well, if you are, in fact, we want to build on success, because this whole coaching thing and what we're talking about here is not me telling you what to do and you not doing it. This is about you telling me what it is that will grow and scale your business and make your life better. And the questions I have are, why aren't you doing it? And if you are, let's build on that success. Because as a coach, my usual first question is not what is going wrong in your business. It's really what's going right. And let's make a list of those things that are going right in your business as we talk further. So, yeah, I have other priorities. You don't understand, coach. Without me doing this, that, and the other thing, it's not going to get done. Boy, oh boy, prioritization is probably the number one thing. People who make lists get stuff done. At the same time, I usually ask people, how many things are on your to-do list? And, I get numbers never below 20 for the day. And then I say, okay, if we were to prioritize these and get like the top 6 things, what would they be? What would make it a great day if you got all of these things accomplished? And they fall into different categories. A lot of times they are urgent and important, following up a big meeting throughout the day. A lot of times they're not. And what I find is people prioritize upside down. They work on the easy to get done things first, as opposed to working on the things that are going to really move things forward. And oddly enough, we all know that these things that we're prioritizing, or that we want on the top of our list are usually the things that take a heck of a lot more time. And usually I look at them as more like projects, but moving them along, knowing that you have a deadline and not working on them all night the night before, not working on them only days before, but a little bit each day, or scheduling it once again on your calendar. Um, Stress, probably the number one killer of not just us, but also with the culture within a business. It's almost palpable when I walk into an office and I feel the tension in the room or the lack of enthusiasm as I walk through the halls or I meet with the people. And the number one challenge business owners have is feeling the stress day to day, unrelenting stress. I haven't talked to many people who aren't working 6 or 7 days a week in their office. And it's almost like the success of their business has really taken over their lives. It becomes their identity. And I don't think I have to tell you, and we don't want you to slow down with how intense and passionate you are. At the same time, we want to make sure that you're in it to win it long term. This isn't just about the science of success, but the art of fulfillment. As we get further into these more of the coaching side of things throughout these webinars, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what those are. And today, a bit of the shift that I'll make towards that direction is the two organizing principles of all human behavior. And this is worth writing down. And this is the need to avoid pain and the desire to gain pleasure. We can look at every action we take, everything we do, moment to moment and long term, as being based off of the need to avoid pain in the moment and to gain pleasure. And pain is a bigger motivator than pleasure. And what I'm listening for in the conversations I have with my folks and what we do at TWR is really what are those incongruencies that are happening? And more importantly, how do we straighten them out so you actually are doing more of what you want? I mean, people tell me all the time, I want to go on a diet. I want to exercise. I want to have these stand-up meetings with my employees daily. I want to create the training program. And the question is, why don't they do it? As a matter of fact, they tell me what they don't want to do, like smoke, drink, overeat, be stressed, snap on people who are close to them, but yet they seem very motivated to do exactly what they tell me that they don't want to do. So just to draw a line in the sand here too, what I do is not therapy. And unlike therapy, where people might be listening for a pathology, I believe you are not broken. As a matter of fact, I don't even work with the broken. And I can tell you stories of people when I'm talking to them and they tell me that they hate the business that they're in and they'd rather not be doing it, but they're trapped. And they tell me that it's not their fault, basically, and everyone's out to get them, but they're stuck. And I understand how they feel. But what is it that they really want and what's really preventing them? I was speaking with someone in what I would call a discovery call. And it became more of a strategic intervention of what was really preventing this business owner from moving his business where he wanted it to be. And the conversation kind of went into exactly that. Hey, I don't really give a shit about my customers. I just want them to sign on the line that is dotted. I've been doing this a long time. And to be honest with you, I'd be out of this business tomorrow. Matter of fact, I think the, the quote was, I wish my goal, coach, my goal is to just be on my boat smoking pot. And I thought to myself, okay, sounds like a plan. And my question to him was, well, how's that working for you? And he said, it's not. It's not working for me at all. And I said, well, what do you feel is really preventing you? If you really went inside and asked yourself and you were honest with yourself, what's preventing you? And he actually said something I didn't expect. And he said, it's my routines. And I said, really? And as we dialogued into what those routines are that are disempowering, we also found a lot of routines that are empowering, like maybe a hobby of playing guitar or listening to music. And I thought to myself, wow, the mindset shift here, and he already knows exactly what he should be doing. And that focus is on his habits and the routines. And I always say success and failure are hiding in plain sight. Just look at what somebody does daily. Just look at their habits, look at their routines. I ask partners, what's the first thing you do when you open your eyes in the morning? I don't ever think I got a different answer than I pick up my phone and look at my emails, check to see if the lights are out somewhere, and immediately jumping into fight or flight mode, triggering their brain with what they do best, and that's firefighting and problem solving. And what would be a better routine? Hey, some of them have said things like, of course, eat a healthy breakfast, exercise, stretch. How about planning out your day and thinking about what the real outcomes would be that you would, when you know that you put your head on the pillow at night, you know that you're going to be, how should I say, happy and grateful for the progress that you made in your business. So moving right along, why is it that people don't do the things daily, these easy things to do that are also easy not to do? And ironically, are actually seemingly next to impossible to do. But yet, when we really look at them, we say, well, it only takes time and focus, but it really takes a commitment to do the things that really are going to move your business farther. So, immediate gratification and tactical problem solving drive short term pleasure. What does that mean? We know what it means. Are you going to fantasy football? Because you're too stressed out at work? Are you finding yourself in the dimension of distraction, as we spoke about previously, or urgent and unimportant? Things of that nature, or worse, urgent and important, where you could have set yourself up to win before. And what does that mean exactly? Well, pain and pleasure, once again. Why aren't we making those calls, those cold calls, when we can straighten up our desk, organize our files, or do anything else but to the work that really needs to get done? I mean, this happens across the board in any business. This happens with professional athletes. This happens with um, everybody. Now, but increasing the long-term pain seemingly seems to be the go-to motto because they can push it off. And that idea of pushing off that feeling uh, and getting rid of the pain in the short term seems to be the fastest path. With working with clients, we want to find out really what's going on behind the curtain. What is the belief structure that's incongruent with the actions they say they want to take or the results that they want to get? All right, I think it's time now. Why don't we do the question of the day? And now I know you know in your business what those things are, and we'll talk about it. But how many of you can identify at least one easy thing that you're not doing today that would bring great benefit to your company long term, regardless of what the excuse is? And I want you to think about it. And it again, it's an easy thing that you're not doing. How many people can identify one of those things now? And we know it's a rhetorical question. Um, Okay, well, that's a pretty high number. And good, because if I have to tell you how to run your business or what these easy things are that you know to do, then we don't need you. And that's what I love about what I get to do daily is just ask the question. What I want people to think about is, what is that one thing that if you did it daily, or if you committed to one of those fundamental things, that everything in your life would change? Maybe an example from the community that really seemed to work, talking to the partners I hear about, well, this is a relationship business. This is a relationship business. But yet the attrition rates seem to be ever increasing. And employee engagement seems to be, getting lower and lower. But let's talk about attrition with clients and building that relationship. Working with one of the folks in the channel who is for sure a top performing partner in our community does something really interesting. And, at first, I think this partner really didn't even think about the impact that it really has on his business, who oddly enough has a very high retention, client retention uh, number. I forget what it is, but it is significantly higher than most of the people who even track it. Um, I also notice when I ask, what is that number? People really don't know the numbers. Once again, because these are the things they're not managing to the numbers. So anyway, this client calls one partner on his way into work, or I'm sorry, one client on his way into work every single day, 5 days a week, and also calls one client on his way home. And these aren't, and obviously we know that builds the relationship, but the conversation isn't about upselling. It isn't always about new clients or service or new suppliers in the portfolio. It's just, hey, did you get that car? Hey, how's your wife doing? Did your son or daughter get into the college that she wanted? And it's genuine. It's building the relationship. And what it really does is it anchors the client into a state that every time they talk to you, they're not having a fire, or you're not having to jump in and fight their fires for them. So they're seeing you in a relaxed state, and in the moment, you're building that bond in that relationship. Success leaves clues. And what I'm looking for when I talk to people is, what is working in your business? What are you doing daily? What do you want to do more of in your business? And then really, what's preventing you from doing, as I've said before. So obviously, we all have something in our business that we could do that would move the things forward. And I know a lot of times, after the webinar, after the seminar, these books just collect dust. And I get it. Even between, with these 30 days between these calls, it's almost like the same 5 webinars would be good enough to hear again. So please go back and listen to them and pick out whatever pearls that you know to be true that are going on in your business. And feel free, of course, to catch up with me at Channel Partners, which I will be at, wandering around the halls. And I'd be happy to sit down with anybody that is an Intellisys partner and really talk about some of the things that they see in their business. And over the last 3 years, I've had that opportunity to work from all angles within this industry to really find out what's going on and what's preventing. And my goal with these 5 webinars, we're picking the top 5 mind shifts that are preventing people from not just growing, as I said earlier, but scaling their business. So next, what are the benefits of shifting the mindset? Well, they're pretty obvious, but until we link enough pleasure to what's going on with these benefits, we're not going to do them long term. So first and foremost, I'm sure by now you've already felt the pain, and I'm going on and on about what these things are. At the end of the day, what would be the value of having increased employee and client engagement in your business? And we don't have to talk monumental change, but if you reached out to one client a week to start, if you had one one-on-one meeting with someone in your office to find out really what was driving them, what you could do to help them maximize their potential in the moment, to help them grow your business, what would that be? And in future episodes here, we'll really talk about what really does influence and what brings about that lasting change that you want to create in your office, in your business, and in your life with your employees, and how to really step into that leadership role until either you find that leader to come in and do and have these conversations with your people and get these things done, or you become it yourself, depending on where you fell in that first webinar. Decreased client attrition, I think, is one of the biggest ones in any business. It seems that when we look at the sand coming through or falling out the hole in the bucket, and we continue to fill it up, it really does add an increased amount of stress to our lives. And that extra mile is never any farther than an extra inch. I mean, I like the thought process. I mean, nowadays, you can't just be good at what you do, because good is absolutely failure. If you're focusing on being good at what you do, running a business or doing anything in this world, the chances of you being successful are slim and none. If you're focused on being great, well, you may be able to tread water and keep that business afloat. But what is it really? What's the impact in your life? I mean, even great results are going to make you one of the many. You have to shoot for outstanding. And I've always found outstanding is, maybe just above where you're going now. Again, that extra mile is only 1 inch. What are those things in your life and in your business that you could course correct today? Those small changes that would add so much value to your life and your business that you would grow exponentially, both personally and professionally. Hey, I've heard it simple as drinking water when I get up, making sure that I stay hydrated, um, doing some breathing exercises to get me in tune with the day. And it sounds a little touchy-feely. And believe me when I tell you, I'm not one of those coaches that comes in and says, let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But I want to do what works. And when I see a business owner improving their life and their habits daily and doing the things that give their lives richness, meaning, and purpose, including growing uh, their businesses seem to get better and better. And I have, in fact, seen only always the opposite, that the more their personal lives slide, the less they are focused on their health and well-being physically, emotionally. I've seen their businesses deteriorate as fast. So this is about, I said, the science of achievement, which is very easy to find out or gauge or find, with the numbers. The money math doesn't lie. But there's that other side of the equation here that is about fulfillment. And fulfillment is an art, and it's different for all of us. And that's some of the things that we'll be tapping into as we move forward. So, I've been talking about vision, focus, and accountability. Today, as we come to the fourth, it's really about results. Because as a coach and you guys as small business owners running your business, at the end of the day, you're only paid by and for results. Can I get an amen? At the end of the day, your life and your business employees, you are getting paid for output, not input. Working in the business and working many hours, your employees don't care how hard you work. They just want to know that you're making it rain. They want to know that you're growing the business and creating a safe environment long term for them to spend their hard-earned hours of their life and make a living doing what they love to do. So let's see, maybe it's a little bit now about what action would we step into that would be the most powerful. And I thought about this, and of course, it's that easy thing to do that you're not doing and setting it up. But I already know how this works. I've been doing it a long time. I would say maybe 9 out of 10 people aren't going to really do anything. And I get it. You're going to at least acknowledge it and what it is. But I would say that one of the things that seemed to work with me is there something in your life right now? Because it's about doing the reps. We just don't decide to run a marathon. And if we do, we don't run a marathon. We train for it. We start slow. Some of us walk to the end of the block and back, and we build upon that. We schedule it in because what you focus on will grow. What you do daily does matter. But what is it in your life right now when it comes to doing the reps? And this is the immediate gratification, but more in a positive way. What's annoying in your life right now? Is it a leaky faucet? Is your car dirty? Is it a squeaky door? So really, I want to keep it real simple today. And I want to have you think of one thing that's going on in your life that you could get done and knock it out. Is it molding, falling off of something? Keep it simple. But the goal here is to get in action. I was listening to the Colin McGregor podcast with Tony Robbins, my former mentor and business associate. And he said, doubt is removed by action. And I love that. Doubt is removed by action. What is that action that you can take and step into? Action cures everything. ACE. What can you do today to start going in the direction that you want? And in this case, it's really good for the brain to take one of those actions, one of those things that's bothering you, and do it immediately. I never leave the scene of a goal without taking immediate action for it, whether it's writing some things down, whether it's making a phone call, um, or taking some sort of action to its attainment immediately. This will start building the reps, and it sounds silly, and it's kind of fun, and see how you feel after you get that done. I mean, right now, upstairs in my house, there's a light switch, and the panel, the cover, is actually cracked. And I've been looking at that for about, I don't know, a year. And every time I go into that room, I think, boy, I'd like to fix that. That's my one action. What is yours? And jump on it and do it immediately. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's been a pleasure getting the feedback and the value that you're getting from these calls. As we continue the dialogue, it is going to be stepping into action and really making sure that we hold ourselves accountable to doing it. So let's really, well, I'll end with this. The next webinar, of course, is just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is about the art of leverage in the form of delegation. This will also, I'll be bringing on a very special guest next time who has been making a lot of these mind shifts over the years and actually is now in the channel, 5-time CIO and now partner with D&M Enterprise, Vic Pepe. We'll be talking about what it is that has made all the difference. What is the difference that has made all the difference to the exponential growth over the last 2 years of someone in this community? So thank you very much. I don't know if there's anything else I need to mention, but March 20th, due to channel partners, we're pushing it back, so it will not be the second week. So mark your calendars, March 20th of 2020. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Thank you, folks. I'll see you out there on the campaign trail. Bye for now.